Welcome back to the Graveyard Shift of Forgotten TV. This is Nostalgia TV with Jeff and co-host Kevin. We're back for Punisher Season 2, and are you ready to get punished? I know I am.
I hate this job. I hate this goddamn job, and I don't need it.
You two had better be calmed down, or we're breaking out the ball gags.
You're listening to the fucking Sons and Shadows podcast on this network, so fucking subscribe or die. Fist bump.
All right, Kevin, Season 2 Punisher. Catch this one first time around, or was this your first time checking it out?
This is my first time around.
Yeah,
I didn't expect to be here today. I thought this was going to be the slog that we talked about last episode.
I did too. Boy, was I wrong.
Ooh, this was an easy binge.
I don't know what I was remembering the last time, because quite frankly, I remember liking the season, but I always felt like it dragged too long. This time it didn't feel as draggy, apparently. I guess my memory is just a little too fuzzy from when it first aired a couple of years back. So,
I hear my wife in the back of my head, and it nags me because it's my wife, but she's right. And it loathes me to say that. And it loathes me even more to say it live with our viewers and each other. It's because of the flashbacks in season 1. Flashbacks are fucking annoying when it comes to watching stories. And there wasn't really a whole lot of that. And this season just kind of flowed really well. You got to see things in real time, and very rarely, once, maybe twice, did they have a flashback episode.
right.
Yeah. So, and I really think that made the difference. Just don't tell Brandy.
I won't tell her. If you don't, everybody, don't tell Kevin's wife anything at all about that.
Yeah. Or anything else I say ever.
Pretty much. Now, did you like what they were doing with some of the characters from last season? Before we get into any sort of new characters, you like what they did with Billy Jigsaw, Madani?
Yeah,
what were you feeling because they did do some big shifting this season?
They did. They redid Billy in a really good way. They just basically said, hey, do what you were doing in this part of the show without remembering the third act. And that worked out pretty well. They summed it up saying Billy's problem was never this or never that. It was always greed. He always wanted more. He had nothing, so he always wanted more. And so they took the sin out of Billy, or the sin that he had done, and to see if it was nature versus nurture, and it was still nature for Billy. He always wanted more.
Big time.
Yeah. Until he kind of got it out of his system. So, it could have been said one way or the other. Because do you think he would have just left all that shit behind for Krista or Dr. DeMott?
Maybe for a brief period of time. I actually don't think he would have stayed with her, because he has kind of a type, so to speak. I think he would have gotten bored with her.
Yeah, he has an impulse for power.
Yeah, he really is the flip side of Frank. And that's one of the parallels they kept drawing this particular season, is how they're basically two sides of the same coin. It's just Billy fell on the bad side and Frank fell more on the good side, but they're still dangerous people. And they had clearly got some issues going on. But Billy is completely lost it. He's completely psychotic. So however you want to describe him, he's fucking off the charts nuts, and he could not settle down at all. Frank was willing to settle down, even though he knew inside he was always going to be a dangerous person. But having that connection to the real world, wife, 2 kids, that kind of kept him in check enough to keep him at bay, except for when he was off on missions. And then while we got into a lot of PTSD themes in the first season, it didn't get so much of that in this season, because we're dealing more of we were just dealing more on the other side of that kind of conversation. Is these guys are just completely gone already, but where is their moral compass and where does it take them? And with poor Billy and Krista, It just would have been the same as Madani. Eventually, she would have gotten in the way. He would have gotten wise to her, and he would have ditched her.
Yeah.
Crazy or not, memory issues or not, eventually he would have come around and been like, sorry, bitch, ain't working out no more.
See, I excuse me. I thought she was going to end up getting killed for real.
I thought so too. I didn't remember that she actually survived at the end.
Yeah, and that works out until she realizes, or you leave her with her thinking that Billy's alive. So she's got this smile on her face like, everything's going to be okay.
Everything's going to be all right.
Like, no, bitch, your life's over. You fucked up. You're a dum-dum.
Yeah, I liked Madani specifically in that moment going, no, don't blame me. Blame yourself, honey. You're the one who got involved with them and slept with them and convinced them to do all this shit.
Yeah, you read the file, dumb fuck.
And you still went forward with it anyway. Welcome to the club. You got fucked by Billy, literally and figuratively.
And the funny thing is like, they were really trying to push in the beginning episodes that, like, all the other agents at Homeland were like, Agent Madani, you're the CSI agent. She's like, you're a bad motherfucker, for lack of a better term. Like, we love working for you. Like, we work for the bad boss. And they all kind of felt that, but you never see that from Madani until like the last couple episodes where she starts to wear her ovaries on the outside, and go after Krista. Like, going after Krista was some shit. I texted you at the end of episode 12. I'm like, that was fucking awesome.
Yep.
And then seeing the beginning of episode
13.
Like, oh wait, never mind. Damn it. Like, I'd never mind. Like, that was awesome for a bit.
Yep. Madani eventually pulled it through in the end for me, but watching it this time around, I felt like she was an annoying bitch for like 8 episodes. Not the actress, everybody, but the character of Madani.
Yeah, no.
Dina was just like this complete lunatic who kept getting in the way of fucking everything. Her good intentions just kept screwing things up. Same thing with Kurt to a point too.
Yes.
Every time he was told, just sit here, keep an eye on the kid, or telling Dina, just stay out of it, just trust me. Every time they wouldn't listen to Frank, shit went from bad to worse. And it's like, you can't blame Frank for things going fucking crossway when he keeps telling you, stop doing this shit. Like, listen to me. Let me take care of this. And it was really bad with like Dina and like, and Curtis for a few of those episodes was like, if you weren't keeping an eye on the kid, she wouldn't have run off.
Yeah.
And if you had taken her with you to your support meeting, she wouldn't have run off. She wouldn't have gotten in this situation or that situation. Way to go, Kurt.
Yeah. Curtis.
I love Curtis. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, sure. He's like one of the strongest characters that there is in the series.
He's one of the big emotional cores for Frank outside of Karen.
Yes, he's the other half of Frank's heart, and up until Amy, I think.
Yes.
But golly, did I write more than once? Kurt bitched out. Kurt bitched out. Kurt bitched out again. Gave back the senator. Like, for real, dude.
That one, legit. I'm like, oh fuck, this could have been such an easy end.
Here you go.
They just wanted
Here you go.
It's like the show writers were probably like, you know how we could really fuck this up and get fucked up with this show? Have Kurt do his thing and think he's being honorable and doing the right thing and let the senator go. And all he had to do was just trade the fucking Amy for the senator. And he gets back to the trailer. He's like, oh, thank God this, where the fuck's the senator? This shit ain't over. What the fuck?
I love his fucking reaction. Jesus Christ.
That's how I literally felt. I remember that from the first time watching this show. And now and when I watched it again, I'm like, oh fuck. It's like, you fucked it up again, Kurt.
Like nothing in this entire season was coming up Frank. And it's not like watching Spider-Man 2, where it's like watching bad thing after bad thing after bad thing happen to Peter, where you're like, okay, I can't stand watching this anymore. I'm fucking bored. No, it's just like anytime Frank's got a great plan going on, something fucking happens.
Something always happens. It's like, man, at the end of the season, at least he's completely solo. He totally turns down Madani for doing an international kind of like takeout hit. He's like, no, I got a job. I'm good. And I could see the satisfied look on his face of like, I ain't putting up with that crazy bitch no more.
Yeah, because he didn't want to answer her phone, and she knew he didn't want to answer her fucking call neither.
And so she texted him, I know you're there. Answer the phone, Frank. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's like the X that won't go away.
On a satellite phone in the Middle East from fucking Jurassic Park. Like,
how'd you find this number? I'm CIA. Of course. I like how he just kind of shook it off like, yeah, you fucking spooks.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yep.
But that actually made me happy. That means she took that lady's offer finally. Or that the offer was there long enough that she was able to take the lady's offer. Which means
she could do more in that role too. So it's like she could get off the shackles and actually be able to do more.
Yeah, like she could do more for the Middle East, for the US, for the relations of like the entire world, basically. Doing what Rollins should have been doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was nice to see. Otherwise, that final scene there, that epilogue was kind of shoehorned and I didn't care for it. Like, it was awesome. Don't get me wrong. But it felt a little too extra, like kind of like the end of Lord of the Rings, where you're like, okay, how many times are we going to end this fucking movie?
Yeah. The false finishes. That's what I call it.
Yeah. Kind of like him giving Amy a kiss and not wanting to let her go, but then forcing her to leave. That was a pretty perfect ending for the show. I really liked that.
Yeah.
But
I would have just clipped to just him in the van eyeing up somebody and going full Punisher mode, like in your background right now. Because that's where he finally is like, I'm all on the Punisher gig. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I'm full Punisher, baby. Who wants to dance?
Yeah, because this is season 3. This is your comic books.
This was the tee up for season 3. Yep.
Yeah, your origin stories are done, out of the way. And that having been said, how did you feel having Billy be back in this season?
I liked Billy being back in this season. I will, like, we spoke privately, but this is now part of the actual show. You had mentioned like you felt like he was being like forced in. If I would have done something just a little different, and I liked overall what they did. It came through in the end. They stuck the landing for me with it. I do kind of wonder if we could have just had a season where he was in a coma for a little while, and then you started to introduce his therapy sessions, and at the end of the season, he breaks out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And then you set up season 3, and then we get that storyline and everything next season. But I almost wonder if they had a feeling like season 2 might kind of be the end. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have, because even I was just looking back on our Facebook page from when I wrote a review for this, like back in 2000 and when was that? 2017, when season 1 came out, and then 2019 for season 2. And it got renewed December 2017, not long after the show actually came out, which was around early December 2017. So within a few weeks, it got a second season. And within a few weeks of season 2, there was no renewal. I almost have this feeling of that's the time when a lot of Netflix and Disney were starting to have issues with further shows, further seasons, and then contracts ended, everything got canceled, and Disney basically took over ownership again.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like maybe they had an inclination, like maybe we write this with a little bit of an ending so we don't have a cliffhanger. Like, this was maybe supposed to be 2 seasons, is kind of how I look at it. They're like, no. Let's just construct it as 1 season and just tighten up a few things and just put it down. It worked out very well, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
mean, you easily could have just built season 2 just around Pilgrim
Yes.
and doing Pilgrim and Billy. At times it feels like it's a bit much, but it never goes too wild and crazy to where it's like, I don't buy this. This is just too much. This is unbelievable. This is just like watching a movie with like too many villains in it for like Spider-Man or Batman fighting 5 different villains in one movie. Thank you, Batman and Robin. But honestly, they did a really good job. But I do feel like they might have had an idea for season 3 and they decided in the initial writing stages, maybe we just put it in this season on the safe side. And in season 3, we could do something else and something more epic that way. Just a thought.
Kevin
I could be
says
very wrong. That's
consolidate.
just speculation.
I see consolidation. I think you're right. I really do. Like the Pilgrim character and the Schultz story was so strong and so good, I thought.
That could have been fine all on its own for a whole season.
Yes, I wanted more of it. And
yeah,
I loved the Schultzes so much that
Mr.
I
Corbin Bernthal, everybody.
And Annette O'Toole. I've never, ever been afraid of Miss O'Toole before. Like, outside of disappointing her, because I've always seen her as like a mom figure growing up.
I know, right?
I've never been afraid of her before, and she played so cold and meticulous in this show. And it's like, oh,
she was like the brains of the outfit, is what I was impressed by. I'm like, damn, she's awesome. Well, Corbin's character, Father Schultz, or the dad Schultz, he kept looking at her for like, I could always trust on you to keep a steadying opinion and making the tough decisions. It's like, oh shit. And he's a strong enough character too by himself. So it's like those two as a power couple. No wonder why they were like freaking billionaires trying to, groom their son to being the president of the United States. Like, damn, I totally get it. Yeah. I bought into it. I didn't even know it was Corbin until like this time around watching it. I never saw the credits. I always like skip to the next episode, and they don't exactly play like name credits at the beginning of every episode because it's the, with the opening theme, you only just get the main stars.
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn, that's awesome. But it's like, shit, I recognize that guy. And then it's like Corbin. And I'm like, oh shit. And Annette O'Toole, oh, even better.
I didn't think she was going to play wicked like she did. I'm still floored.
Stone cold bitch. Loved it.
Yeah. Like she had plans to take the kids and do political things with them because they were smart enough as well. Also dumb. And that's really what they were looking for, was smart but dumb, or naive for lack of a better term.
To be able to mold them and manipulate them.
Yeah, like she knew that John was this amazing tool that they had, John Pilgrim. Yeah. But once he was done and got the pictures back and killed Frank and killed Amy, that he needed to have been killed too, because he caused so much of a ruckus that it could have been led back to them.
Right.
And her husband was like, oh, we don't need to do that. I mean, he's done everything we asked him to do. Well, I guess you're right. I love you, honey.
Thank you for making the difficult decisions. All right, I'm ready for some dinner and wine.
Yeah. I was like,
boy, she got wine all over the table at the end of this season.
That was so dope.
I thought Amy smoked her. My memory of season 2 is like completely inaccurate from watching it this time around. I'm like, I thought Amy shot her, but it was actually Frank who was just off camera and just boom, took her out like don't pull a knife on my baby girl. Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Well, have you ever seen like Lion's Hunt? they let their prey go so far and do the job, but if anything gets too out of hand, they're right there.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
And yeah, like golly, before he even walked in, you knew what had just happened. And the whole scene, her head hitting that table as hard as it did, and the blood being everywhere, all over the food and all over Corbin, and the table is just.
I want to watch a making of that scene specifically. Like, that was so well done and well edited. Like, holy shit. Like, they put a whole lot of work and effort into this production crew. Chef's kiss. This season was dope as shit. Even from the first season to this one, you kept all the practical effects and special effects, editing, all of the production was tremendous this season, in my opinion.
There was a lot of CGI squibs that they could have done without. Well, a lot of headshots. There was a lot of CGI headshots.
Okay, yeah, I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you.
But again, you've got a budget that you got to keep in restraint, and then you've also got to maintain like being under the Disney umbrella at the same time. So
this was not a Disney production at the time. This was Netflix production at the time.
It was still under the Marvel banner, though, right?
Marvel banner, but they licensed the property out to Netflix to adapt.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Well, it showed butt crack and thrusting, but no titty. No actual nip.
No.
I think.
Anyway. No, but Krista was definitely bumping uglies with Billy enough.
Yeah.
She was total Harley Quinn to him as Joker.
Yeah. And Madani was the same way for Billy in the, yeah.
Yep. Season 1. Yep. Like, Billy's got a type.
He does. Crazy ass bitches.
Yep.
Iraqi women looking. Anyway,
lock and load.
I don't know. Again, getting back to what we were saying before, I liked the change that they did for his character. And Ben owned that so well that they tried almost making the Marvel recipe of him being a sympathetic character.
A little bit.
Yeah, but his nature always came out, that greed always being there. So you're not that sympathetic for him. Like, you really just didn't feel bad. I don't know. I like Billy. I do. He was great. Ben was great. And I think that's why I like Billy.
Ben, dude. Total thumbs up on this performance this season. You really stepped it up.
Yeah, like they were all great, and he did fantastic. Like you felt his pain, and that's what Frank wanted. Frank wanted him to feel betrayal, wanted him to feel fear and everything else, and he did. And he didn't do it with Frank wanted him to do with it. But
no, and then Billy tried to redo it all over again with Frank, with killing the hookers in the fucking assault. And when they're going over, hey, all these guys wearing the masks, they were Billy's crew, but they're shooting rock salt. And it looks like they beat the shit out of Frank. And then Frank just tears through him like a hot knife through butter, and he shoots like 3 innocent people. It's like, that's not what happened, but it's just like, so what really did happen? And it's like, he was set up, but they let Frank actually feel for a moment like, I fucked up. I really fucked up. And Billy won that victory. He wanted to break Frank. And I'm like, villains actually accomplishing their goal a little bit is a bit twisted.
Well, see, that's where I had complaints, but it's not like that valid. Like the complaint is the fact that the bad guy got the one up, but goodness, what are you going to do? But it's Billy. Yeah. Like Madani falls for the bad guy's bullshit again. This time it's not Billy's, it's Krista. Right. Krista fucking like plays her like a goddamn fiddle, and it was beautiful. She figures
she's an actual shrink who knows exactly what's going on with Madani and how to get information out of her.
Yes, and she's a sociopath, so she shows no emotion on her face whatsoever. And the emotion that she does show is all fake and forced. Like completely, and that's all the time. So you can't tell when she's actually being kind or not. Like to even Billy, for that matter.
Right. She's manipulating everybody and everything just as well as Billy does. And so
Yeah.
their relationship is interesting because at times you think Billy's about to kill her, then they screw. And then
And she's
when
fucking with his head.
and then she's fucking with his head, and they keep screwing around with each other's heads and screwing around. And you never know if like one's gonna kill the other or turn the other one in or what the hell. It's just this weird love situation going on. And it almost had this weird echo of a love triangle with Madani, who's like the jilted ex-lover who just can't let it go. But eventually she put 3 rounds. No, I'm sorry, 5 rounds into Billy at the very end.
5 rounds. My note on that was Curtis and Madani teach Mahoney how to lie.
Yep. Because Mahoney's just like, how the hell are we going to do this? And they're like, well, I could have shot him 5 times. Yeah, I think it was 5 times. And then Mahoney's like Castlewood. They're like, and they both said, who? And he's like, oh, for fuck's sake, you guys.
Yeah, they wrote Mahoney
awesome
way better.
Too.
Agreed. He was written way better this season than he was last season.
And in
last
previous
season,
shows too.
Yeah, he was really inept in the other Defenders series. And here he's actually helping. He's figuring shit out. He's a very capable detective. He's going after an agent in charge from Homeland Security. And he's not fucking around. Like, he's figuring it out and figures out that, like, in order to get things done, the best thing to do is to, just let Frank go, because he is, as they say, the least worst thing happening on the show.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he's going to stop his pursuit of Frank, and he's not going to stop trying to arrest him either, but he also knows Billy's a complete psycho. Sometimes you have to send a psycho to take out a psycho.
Yeah. And at the same time, really, how do you argue with Homeland Security or the CIA? Like, I would be afraid to do such shit because I have watched a whole lot of action films where they just erase people without asking. Yeah, like, if I was Madani, I'd just be like, you'll not say anything. Ever.
You'll not say anything, you little shit. Toe the line. But
Kinda,
I like how Mahoney was always like the one straight and arrow in this show. It's like you are kind of rooting for him a little bit. You're not supposed to root for him too much because, you know, Frank's got to step up and save the day after getting his ass kicked so many times. But I like Mahoney, how he's always like, I am trying to do my job here. But it's the eternal struggle. But he's also the eternal, I got to do the right thing, more so than Madani ever did. So I liked how that was a flip on Madani as opposed to what they did in the first season.
Yeah, because Madani's needing to do the right thing was doing whatever it takes to prove the innocence of her old partner.
Right.
So it was never necessarily about doing the right thing. It was always about proving the truth.
Right.
About one thing.
Yeah.
So one very specific thing. And now it's a whole other ballpark because now she's got to deal with the animal that is Frank and the responsibilities of bringing him back, what that means, and having to deal with Billy. And they could have expanded upon that. More, and her taking that job with the CIA. Like, now she understands what it's like to have animals on leashes and shit like that.
Right.
But to be able to trust them, that her being a good leader, a good version of Rollins, for lack of a better term, or Stryker with Weapon X.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see where if we had a season 3 where it could have gone. We're not going to get that with the Daredevil Born Again show. So we're just getting that story retold with the same cast. So we'll see how that goes. It's not the same writers from the Netflix shows. That's unfortunate because they're still using the same writers that they've used for all the other Disney Plus Marvel shows. I'm not terribly confident in what we're getting with that, but I do like John. But circling back around, Kevin, we just talked about some existing characters from season 1. what did you think of the new characters in season 2, starting with Amy?
Oh man, like you don't want to be like, ooh, that 16-year-old's hot. So you think about it like, oh, okay, she's 22. Never mind.
Don't cancel us, people. It's okay. It's a joke.
She was fun. I loved her. Like, I loved her enthusiasm to be Frank's daughter. Like, I loved that so much. She wanted to impress Frank.
Well, eventually she wanted to impress Frank. For the first like 3-4 episodes, she couldn't wait to get away from him.
Because she was the typical teenage girl. Like, she was fresh, she was smart, she was hip, she wanted to be on her own. She knew better than everybody else. Yeah, you know. And Frank just saw through all the bullshit because he's 3 times her age, twice her age, whatever. And golly, they just worked together well. I loved her loyalty to Frank up against Madani, up against Curtis, everybody else. Like, and this is no offense against her. Like, she reminded me of my dog with my wife. Like, anyone crosses my wife and my dog will fuck some shit up between myself, the kids, a neighbor, a stranger, whatever. Like, like that. My wife and the dog are like that. And it's the same thing with Frank and Amy. Like, when he was in the hospital, people were there, but Amy was there undercover with weapons ready to kill somebody should they come after Frank.
She didn't really have weapons, though.
Did she not have the shotgun at that point? No, she didn't. She had it at the hotel.
Yeah,
That's
hotel right. And at the mobile home or trailer that they were staying in, whatever that was. But no, I really liked Amy. The first few episodes, she's like this annoying brat who just keeps screwing things up. But once you get to the point where she starts to understand she needs Frank and Frank needs her, that's about the time when it really starts to work out as far as the relationship. They have this nice friction-based, confrontational, sassy sort of attitude with each other. Like, but there was a mutual respect, and eventually they got to a point where, you know, they both told each other their pasts and their secrets, and that was a very pivotal episode because after that, they are a team, even though there's still some rough spots between the two, and you know, misunderstandings between them. There's still that respect. They keep coming back to each other, and Frank is always trying to look out for her, and she's always looking out for him. And that's really endearing. It's a great character moment for the show for Frank and Amy. And I think that really drove the narrative forward in the second half, because that gave Frank a crutch on, I got to be better, I got to do better, and I got to protect that girl until we finish this fucking problem that she has been put into, because it's bullshit. But he's having to deal with Billy, he's having to deal with Pilgrim, he's dealing with a lot of shit, and she's one of the things that helps get him through that, along with Karen. Loved having Karen back. It was really only for like 2-3-ish episodes. It was just the one
episode 11. The only reason why I didn't give it
it felt like
the
2
filler episode. No, it was just episode 11, dude.
Damn. Come on, Deborah.
That episode should have sucked. The self-doubt and self-pity episode didn't suck because Karen was there to help him through that.
I'd give away my shoes to get her back on another episode. And I'd give it to the guy in the morgue.
That was beautiful. That was so beautiful watching him walk out in her shoes. I'm like, fuck yes.
They left it totally like ambiguous as to, you know this is going to be a big favor. And she's like, I know. And he's like, yeah. She's like, yep. And then you never figure it out until that very end, after the fire alarm's been pulled and he's walking out with a corpse and he's just wearing the heels. And because they show Karen walking out first without her shoes.
She's got no shoes. Yeah.
And it's like, maybe she just took it off so if she has to run, she could run or something like that. Because you can't really run in heels. I don't know. Ask women, can you really run in heels? put a comment down below. But I'm pretty sure the answer is no. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I initially thought, like even years ago, and even this again, I'm like, I don't remember where this is going. And then they get the scene where the the guy in the morgue is wearing them. I'm like, that is
Hot.
brilliant. I couldn't stop laughing. I had to stop the episode and rewind it for like 2 minutes because I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, that was great. These, some people these days might feel like, that's disgusting and distasteful. It's like, or they're like, it's all about trans rights. No, this was done for comedy. So that's all it really was.
Even if the guy likes wearing women's shoes, it was fucking awesome. He got to do that, and that was the stick.
It's a thing, people. It's always been a thing.
If it bothers you, people, go watch Ed Wood, and if it still bothers you after that, you just go Walk Off a Bridge.
You go watch another channel at that point too.
Yeah. Anyway, be better with people.
Yeah.
But golly, that was just amazing. That that was so funny and cute. And the look on Karen's face was amazing. Otherwise, the 11th episode would have been the filler episode for me. But we got Deb. I'm happy.
And a reference to Matt Murdock too.
Yes. Now, was he referencing them being together, or was he just asking where Matt was? Well,
I think he was more asking about like the relationship she has with Matt professionally, because he's like, if you're getting involved with me yet again, it's gonna hurt a bunch of careers.
Oh,
like what does Matt Murdock know you're here, knowing I'm been arrested again for killing people again, and now you're trying to help me escape? You really want to go through this soiree like yet another time, Karen? Because you can't keep pulling that card. And she just didn't give a shit because she totally cares about Frank. And
yeah,
I love that kind of consistency and forethought through 2 seasons. So
I know Claire was supposed to be coming back. I don't know if it was supposed to be Claire instead.
Is that the night nurse?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. That would have been an interesting.
Yes, it would have been fun, like to actually see her doing what she's supposed to be doing in the comics.
Right.
Would have been great. But what they did was just fine. Perfect, even. It would have been out of character to have Claire in there instead of Karen, I think.
I think so.
Just because she was established in the first season, and she fits better. She's Frank's heart. She's his soul that's left over.
Yep.
And so she needed to have been there at least that one episode this season. And it was good that she wasn't there more. Like, do I want to see her more? Of course, I love Deb, but like Karen just needed to have been there that one episode for support, to help and send him on his way, like give the blessing and be like, go Frank, go do your thing.
Well, I almost kind of wonder if they were in the middle of shooting like Daredevil season 3 at that point, or she just finished it, or she was in between projects and she could only do like 1 episode. So that's probably what they just did, was just kept her in the one. But man, it certainly felt like she was in more than 1 episode, but she was just in 1 then.
See, this is where I'm kind of confused with the MCU right now. Like, they have the opportunity to put out a whole bunch of TV shows for MCU's season or phase 4, and they come up with a bunch of shit that no one asked for. Nothing's been tested or proven. No one wanted it. It all failed. And you could have brought back Daredevil sooner. You could have brought back Punisher sooner. Shit that was tested. They brought back, that worked again. In Hawkeye, they brought fucking Kingpin back. It works. Roll with it. Have they? No. And they're still not. They're still trying to pick up the pieces from Phase 4, what could have been. Oh, but now
they're trying to salvage that before they can move forward. I'm like, oh God. Just take a break, guys. Just take a break.
Yeah, and then we got to RDJ everything to fix it. Like, these defenders, the good ones, and I will say the good ones being Luke Cage, Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, the really good shows, they're still there waiting to be part of this fucking universe. And the universe is just pissing itself away, giving people shit that they don't want, shit that wasn't good, wasn't gonna be good. These shows were fantastic. The first seasons were fantastic. This season, I think I enjoy. I don't know that it's better than season 1, but ultimately I'd say I enjoyed season 2 better than season 1.
Yeah, I'd say as a 2 for like, these are 2 excellent seasons of Punisher. I completely just in my head, just because I haven't seen this show in a couple of years, just totally thought season 2 was a bit of a letdown. Watching this now again, like back to back, like we have, I have a new appreciation for season 2. It is a lot better than I remembered it. And like you, I think I had a little more fun with the second season, but I still feel like first season is just maybe just a tick better because it sets everything up so well.
Sure.
This one just keeps that momentum going. This is like, you can actually watch these 2 seasons as one whole story for Frank and the Punisher. When you put it in perspective and break it down, if you want to call it all movies for every 4 episodes, we just had 2 great trilogies for John Bernthal as the Punisher.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn. And Pilgrim was fucking phenomenal. So that was a great character to introduce. And he even had some of his own backstory. And they spread that out so much. Like, you would sometimes forget he was even in part of this story, but then they'd remind you of him like right that minute. Like, they paced that just right to where you were starting to wonder, where is this guy? Oh, okay, we're back on him now again.
Up until the end.
Yes.
That was true up until the end, and then they just like they hit him to a screeching halt for me. Like, once it got towards him kidnapping Amy as a hostage for leverage, which was fine. That was all great and fine. The fight between them was good. It was not anticlimactic in any way. Them teaming up was anticlimactic, where they had the opportunity to go the good, the bad, and the ugly, which I know we do on our other show. But to technically do the good, bad, and the ugly, having 2 bounty hunters going after the bad guy, or 2 badass motherfuckers going after a really terrible person, they really kind of cut that short, where it just kind of had our great moment with Frank, Amy, and the Schultzes at the end. And then they wave to the Pilgrim family, or what's left of them, like, bye, have fun. Like,
yeah,
they could have given John a little bit more. John could have gotten some revenge for Schultz taking advantage of him. And
that is something I remembered from previously when I was watching that scene at the very end. I was remembering to when I first saw this scene like years ago when the show was on. And I remember thinking, if anything, I just would have told him to go back home and kill them fuckers himself. Because then he could have had a little bit of payback, but he still owed them a lot for getting him away from his life of crime, but then they enslaved him again. And he also just got his ass handed to him by the Punisher.
It was another life of servitude and slavery, though. It was another lie.
I mean, I would have appreciated maybe something a little bit different. I did like what we got, and it does show you that, hey, if Frank ends up needing a backup down the road, there is somebody else he can call, because he just went toe-to-toe with this guy. And he held back on killing him straight up. And, you know, mutual respect there, even though dude was killing a bunch of innocent people too. So...
yeah, and he understood why once he said, he has my sons. I get it.
Right. Well, and it's a chance that he could get his kids back when Frank couldn't do that himself. Like, they had a nice little flip of the coin kind of relationship too. It's like, God damn, there's a lot of parallels here between a bunch of different characters. And I like how it was constructed, how well they paced it out, wrote it. But you brought that scene up, and there is something I want to play, and I think Amy had the best description of the Punisher. And here's a little clip that explains what she thinks of the Punisher.
Oh, no.
He's the Punisher. He's gonna, like, righteously pull your spine out of your throat.
That was awesome.
I totally cracked. I started laughing again. I'm like, yep, he will righteously rip your spine out of your throat.
Not quite sure what you were expecting there. Like, she was right. Like, once she knew who he was, she's like, fuck. Like,
It's almost like she said, he's the motherfucking Punisher. You are dead, bitch. He
yeah,
put
like,
up a hell of a fight, though, even in a defeated state. He just had like a Daredevil level fight against his old running gang. And
that
then
was
he had to go.
awesome.
And then he got shot in the leg by fucking Amy with a shotgun and got his ass kicked by Curtis. And then he's got to beat up Frank, who's also been through a war. It's like, oh man. Imagine those two guys at like full power.
That would have just been so awesome. Yeah, because they were fighting each other like after fighting the rest of the show. Like everyone else in the show got their asses handed to them before they got to each other. So yeah, it's like this is the end of Nightfall and they're getting to one another.
Pretty much. It's pretty rad, but man, these guys keep taking ass kickings and they keep on going. I actually wrote down at one point, Pilgrim is like the goddamn Terminator. He is not stopping.
No, and I love the righteousness to him.
I know. Up until he needs a drink and some hookers and blow.
Hookers and blow. Which, you know what? After getting my ass whooped, I'd probably want hookers and blow too. I'm not gonna lie. But I love that how he's sitting there like having this like theological conversation about how to better yourself in life while getting head from a prostitute and envisioning your wife
telling you to come home
painted up like a whore, and you're just kind of like,
That's a different sort of role play, Kevin. But we're going to take this opportunity. We are proudly not sponsored by Lombardi's Pizza, so this is a quick little ad read for you. When you don't want to feel guilty about eating your pizza, don't punish yourself any longer. Come on down to Lombardi's.
Is that Lombardi's?
Sausage and mushroom.
Holy shit.
Lombardi's Pizza.
I was telling my wife about that because, you know, Brandy had the gastric bypass last year, and she's been really good with her diet since then. Her birthday's this weekend, and she wants to have a cheat day, and it's like, we're getting pepperoni pizza. Fuck yeah. So,
right
like,
on. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'll tell her you said so. Which, by the way, I can't work Sunday night.
No, we'll do it Monday. It's fine. Don't worry about that. It gives me time to recoup from flying out there anyway.
Oh, that's.
I'm going to Wisconsin, everybody. I'm taking care of my dad after a little surgery on Monday. So.
Yeah, you're going to help your dad with his arm, and suddenly, like, the dog scratches my back last night, and my shoulder's all fuckered up. Anyway.
He's got a killer dog, everybody. Like, Jesus Christ.
My dog is 200 pounds of baby dumb shit. She's a priss baby dumb shit.
But she'll dislocate his shoulder if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, she does happen to be a giant Wookiee. She's just big. Hers doesn't know she got a big butt.
Maybe you haven't been keeping up on current events, but we just got our asses kicked, pal.
That's Kevin every time his dog does something to him.
It's true. Like, if I'm giving my dog rubs, if I'm like petting her head up above my head and she goes to move, my arm gets pulled back like way further than the socket can go, and it hurts so bad every time. It's like, I'm almost 45. Stop that. Ouch. 20-year-old Kev would have been like, okay, do it again.
No
Zip.
No moss.
No moss. No elasticity is what there is. No moss elasticity.
Yeah. Jesus.
But anyway.
You got any favorite episodes so far this season?
Favorite episodes? No, not like I did last season, but may I just say last season, I don't know what the episode was. I want to say it was where they went after Micro's family. I've got the Donna Summer song, I Feel Love, stuck in my head from where he was like just chasing after the bad guys, killing them to disco beat.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck in my head for the last 2 weeks. So not a whole lot's been like standing out above that for this one.
That's okay. It's
I
a
don't know.
pretty consistent story all the way through. It's just if you had a favorite or not, I was curious.
Yeah, I don't know. 11 would be my spot where I was kind of like, "Argh," where it came to a screeching halt, where I was kind of like, I was really happy for 11 episodes, and now I'm kind of like, oh man, okay, are we finally going to get boring? And it didn't. Episode 11 is not boring.
It's set up like it would be. It doesn't go where you think it's gonna go.
Yeah, it doesn't get as dumb and pointless. Like he thinks he kills three innocent women. Which
And
frankly,
20 minutes later, he doesn't think that anymore. So
yeah, because he didn't. Like Billy obviously kills these women in order for Frank to think that he killed them.
yes,
And Krista got the idea to do that from Madani. So again, Madani, shut your fucking mouth. Stop talking to the bad guys.
yeah.
Which is
Especially when you know
consistent.
she was his therapist. Like,
Yeah, and he's in the other room, and she's got the hots for him in a way, like a Harley Quinn sort of way.
mm-hmm.
And she let it be known in the first episode. Anyway.
Well, that also reminds me real quick. Krista, she's got a fear of falling out of windows. Why is she living on the 3rd fucking floor?
It's New York. You've only got so many options.
She's a psychiatrist who has way more money than probably people on the 1st floor. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's one little logic thing. I'm like, if she's got a fear of falling out of windows and stuff like that, why is she on the 3rd floor? Find a place that's got a 1st floor that you don't have to worry about. I don't know. That was just one of those kind of, I wonder why they did that.
For all we know, it could have been the 1st floor and she was on ketamine and just thought it was the 3rd. We don't know.
Or Slow-Mo from Dread.
Slow-mo. That's why she survived at the end. It's just the 1st floor.
I'll bring blue flowers to her at the hospital.
She just fell 3 feet out the window.
But she broke her arm still. Way to go, lady. You get 5 points on that landing.
The kids, they called me Mrs. Glass.
Did not stick the landing of that time.
But I was so fucking pumped. Like, finally, I got to see the Madani that the rest of the agents were talking about. She picks the bitch up and tosses her out the window. I'm like, fuck yeah!
Oh, she just gave her a shove through the window. She didn't pick her up.
Yeah, you know, whatever. My memory was different. But her ovaries were on the outside, and she was like waving around
Stone
like
Cold Steve Austin.
yeah, or like Pink at the middle of fucking Pink the wall where he tosses the TV out the fucking hotel window screaming, yeah! Same thing. I enjoyed that. It was fun.
Yeah.
Should have had slow-mo.
I enjoyed a lot of the action scenes.
There was a lot more of them. A lot less
Yeah,
drama.
there was.
A lot less drama. A lot less flashback. A lot more Punisher skull. There was a lot more of that. They didn't end with that. Very surprising. Well, I mean, they did, but in the actual story, they didn't end with that. Like that finale, the phone call between her and his 2 little Uzis there at the end, that like I have never seen an added shot, more blatant added shot in my entire life.
I can see that.
It was not part of the epilogue whatsoever. They were just kind of like, golly, what we filmed was great. Just
can we give something from Madani, please? Is what it felt like.
It wasn't exciting. Can we forgot the skull again? Like 30 years and we keep forgetting the fucking skull. Let's do it again. One more ending.
One more time. Reshoot.
They did it again. They forgot the skull.
Yeah. Well, they could have reshot Billy.
That was the big okay, so
the big payoff.
No, golly, it sucked. Like her
shooting
like
Billy dying.
Oh, Billy. You know, I didn't dislike Billy dying. It was the fact that Billy was there to die alone, and magically Frank shows up and then disappears again to be back in Pennsylvania or wherever the fuck it was. It's like,
Well, he had to finish. He had to finish his situation. He kept telling him, "I got to finish Billy first, and then we will take care of the Schultzes."
yes, but he was already taking care of John Pilgrim, and then magically shows up in Kurt's basement. Which did Kurt fucking call him?
Yes.
Who knows? Oh, he did. Okay.
It's not shown, but how else would Frank know that Billy is there bleeding out?
Poor
Kurt-
writing.
No,
I mean, who said that?
that was Kevin. But Ron Bernthal is the Punisher behind him. Come on, Frank. Thrust that gun up there.
I got a knot right here. Just kind of, anyway. That was the only part to me that was kind of like, shoehorned.
Well, I
But the
don't.
whole Billy thing was shoehorned to me. Like, it was good, but they were all like merged together.
Yeah.
Nothing pieced together. Like, they didn't pull it all together at the very end like they did in the first season. There were two very separate plot points. Very, very separate plot points. And they did not cross. The Schultzes and Jigsaw did not cross at all.
That would have been a pretty interesting thought. Like, for a while, it makes you wonder, are we going to have like this three-way fight at the end between the three of them? That could have been pretty interesting.
Yeah.
If they were going to go all the way with it, that would have been a way to go. Where Pilgrim's getting on both their bad sides, and they all kind of have to either make some shady alliance with one or each of them, or that would have been an interesting dynamic. They didn't go that way, but
the Schultzes could have hired Billy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And with John,
yeah, but he just didn't know what was going on with like Amy and the kid. Like, they never crossed paths like at all.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. Didn't
Right.
need to.
Correct.
She already had enough shit, and Frank even told her that in those scenes. You have enough shit going on.
Yes.
So I don't know. God, again, so much like condensing.
I mean, I really did like it, and I'm a little more forgiving of it than I think you are of the shoehorning, because I feel like they did have at least a coherent story as opposed to something, say, like Iron Fist or second season of Luke Cage, which wasn't great. But
yeah, I don't even know.
Especially Iron Fist, both those seasons were just trash. But to at least the credit, it's certainly implied that Curtis, the second the phone call ended, it then cuts to then Frank showing up to his hall, because he basically told Kurt, "I'm bleeding out in your hall where you have your support group." And then Curtis is looking at his phone, and then the next scene you see Frank showing up. It's like, Frank's got to do this. So,
Yeah.
it's implied. It would have been great if he would have been like, "I know where Billy is. Just flip the phone, hit dial. I know where Billy is."
Yeah, he's downstairs or
Or
whatever.
wherever he's at, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt a little rushed. Like magically he was there, magically he wasn't. Or conveniently and magically he was there. It was a little anticlimactic between the two of them.
Well, and then Frank just fucking like, "I don't want to die alone, and I'm glad you're here with me, so I'm not going to die alone."
Fuck
And
you.
then he just straight up walks away like nothing's going on. Like, all right, that's over now. Fuck off, bye.
Yeah, because he kept saying, "I'm past it. I'm past it." He's past it. He's got to go do this other shit now.
Yep. Now he's
You're
gonna take care of
stopping
the
me
kid.
from doing this other shit. And
Yep.
again, golly, I loved that relationship. And kids ruin everything in stories. But again, make them
Amy
22.
didn't.
Yeah, make them 22. It's okay.
Well, and I like how Amy was actually like useful to the story multiple times. She wasn't just this annoying kid who got in the way all the fucking time.
Yeah, but the
Especially
only thing
when
with
she
her-
was showing like the picture to the Russian father, like of the two boys kissing, and then she walks out of the restaurant and she changes into the schoolgirl outfit like midstream. I'm like, all right, and then she sneaks into the hospital as a nurse. excellent. Like, this girl does know her stuff. So at least she had talents and was useful to the story and to Frank at times too.
Yeah, she's another character that would have been really interesting to see in a third season.
Well, and I would have liked Micro to make an appearance in this season if we were really going to get down to brass tacks, because he could have been helpful too.
I'm a little surprised that he didn't show up. I'm like,
might have been a scheduling conflict, I guess, or they couldn't find a way to make him work in the story, because they probably, my guess is they liked his character too much to not want to just bring him back for an episode.
Yeah. Or
if you're not going to bring him back for the whole season, don't bring him back.
Yeah. And don't minimize the character, which I'm sure is what would have happened. That's what happened to Karen throughout the series.
Oh, most of the shows, yeah, except for Daredevil straight up.
Yeah, that's true. Like, again, she's only in the one episode this season. You're just kind of like, I'm glad I got to see her, but more.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I know on our previous episode, I said Clancy Brown was still around, and boy, was I fucking wrong about that. I'm like, wait, when are we going to get to that scene? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm probably thinking of a completely different movie that Clancy Brown's in, where he plays a military guy and he shows up at the end because he's supposed to be dead. That's all I could think of. I don't even know.
Starship Troopers. Duh.
No, it's a different one.
He got the bug. Zim got the bug, man. No, but it was fun. I really liked this season. I get there was never going to be a season 3 with Netflix. There could never be a season 3 with Netflix. I hope Disney doesn't fuck it up. I hope the season 3 does happen with Disney. Because Disney's fucking everything up. They forgot how to handle Marvel. They wanted to make more money than what they were making, and they lost the know-how. And I don't know that Kevin Feige really knew what that recipe was, looking back at season or phase 4 and 5. Like, you're not doing any of that shit, you dumb fuck. And you're not doing it now.
Well, to a little bit of his defense, he had bosses over him telling him how this was going to go for phase 4.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I mean, he had a little bit of like stroke and pull, but he wasn't able to push back enough. And that's also, it's kind of come out that that's the reason why we're getting a female Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four. He does not want that, but he's been told by his bosses, that is who you are putting in there. As a female Silver Surfer, they don't want a male.
Okay. Well, news to them and everyone else, we're getting both. And I respect that. At least that's my assumption. If you look at
based
the
on that
art,
logo. Yeah.
Yeah, that promo art had 2 surfers on there. One was Norrin, one was Shala. So
we will see.
Fingers crossed.
Well, they just started shooting Fantastic Four, so
yes, I've been watching nothing but like reels from Comic-Con this weekend before they were leaving. It's like, I need to get a life. We won't see a whole lot of that for
creators,
a while.
Kevin. This is what we do now.
I know. My poor wife. She asked me what happens around town. I'm like, I don't know, but did you know this, and this happened?
I do that with my wife too, and she's just like, now it's got to the point of, so what new geeky things have you learned today? It's like, okay, well, this, and this happened, but I also heard about this in politics, and it's like, oh, okay. then I catch her interest a little bit more. When it comes to Marvel stuff, she's just like, eh? It's like, okay, the last few years have been utter shit. So,
yeah.
But I need to get this on fucking Blu-ray or DVD off of. It's widely accessible on eBay and Amazon for purchase, or even Etsy. So.
Yeah, I'll be getting this one. This one's fun.
They're not official releases, but they are easily purchasable. And I'm also probably going to get the 3 seasons of Daredevil too soon too.
Yeah, the rest of them really weren't that worth it to me. I mean, they're great.
I like Jessica Jones. Well, okay. Question for you: how do you rank season 2 amongst all of the Marvel shows that were on Netflix?
For Punisher?
Yeah, for Punisher, season 1 or 2, or just yeah. How would
Um,
you rank? How would you rank them?
Punisher is number 2 to everything for Daredevil. I didn't see season 3 of Daredevil. I heard it wasn't that good, and season
It
2
was
was
okay.
so good that I didn't want to see anything disappointing. And I thought season 1 of Punisher was good enough that, you know what, if they were going to make this slog and redo it and just try to make a safe season like they did with the rest of the Defender series, they did not do that with Punisher. They made it more like season 2 of Daredevil, where it was more balls to the wall, more of what you wanted, the actual suit. You got to see the Punisher, what you recognized was the Punisher. You got to see the fighting. You got to see him having zero fucks to give. It was much better than anything else when the rest of the characters came back for their second seasons.
Right.
It wasn't lackluster. You got your supervillain, albeit shoehorned and albeit a little bit different, but you got your supervillain, and you got creepier stakes than the first season, and that's where the other series didn't do well. The stakes were not higher, the villains were not scarier. Nothing about the second seasons to like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, or Danny Rand were bigger, better, or scarier than the first. And
Yeah.
that's where Daredevil and Punisher were a lot better, I think.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I definitely rank Daredevil top shelf. I love the first 2 seasons. Third season's fine for Daredevil. Too much of a reset. I'm like, yeah, we're going through the motion, a little bit of the motions, but it was still really good. Just it wasn't as great as the first 2 seasons. Then Punisher, clearly, both seasons are fantastic. I think those 5 seasons together is a hell of a fucking great TV show, straight up.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably go Jessica Jones season 1, Luke Cage season 1, and everything else otherwise is just kind of there or bad. And Iron Fist was just bad. That is absolutely the worst thing I've seen. Danny was okay in the Defenders show because he was just a bit character in the background who, I mean, I didn't like who they cast as Danny anyway, so. But
No.
Iron Fist was a thing. I watched them all, but definitely Punisher ranks top for me, right along with Daredevil there. So you got those 5 seasons, and I think that's fucking awesome. And then check out Luke Cage season 1, Jessica Jones season 1, and that's pretty satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's even cute seeing Luke Cage and Jessica Jones flirt and interact, even bone, once or twice. Because they're married in the comics and they have a kid, but like they were just in the first seasons done really, really well. The first season of Defenders, the season of Defenders was okay. It's an okay bookend without even needing the second season to any of the other shows. I don't need them. I don't like them, and I'd never watch any of them ever again, other than Daredevil and Punisher.
All right.
They just didn't have the chutzpah. Yeah, man. They had no cojones.
No, I completely agree with that. Like I enjoyed Kilgrave way too much in season 1 of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, Purple Man was a way bigger villain than whatever they came. I don't even remember what happened after that. It was the drugs that made
Not
people super,
memorable.
wasn't it?
What's that?
It was the drugs that made people super because her stupid ass friend got hooked on that stupid inhaler.
Oh, the blonde anchor.
Yes. That was annoying as fuck. That's why I'm always like, there's always someone in the Defenders series that's fucking a bad guy that's stupid as shit that you just want to die. Like the season would be half over and the bad guy'd get caught if it wasn't for the best friend fucking them.
And yep. I never read any of the Defender stuff, so I'm just a little familiar with Punisher. I'm way behind on Daredevil. So I need recommendations, everybody. Put a comment down below for that.
Guardian Devil.
I'm writing that down.
Guardian Devil's some good shit.
All right.
It will blow your mind.
I will do that. Kevin,
Jeff,
got any last thoughts?
I want more. I want more Punisher. Like, Punisher's a really simple recipe. I want Marvel to do better things with Daredevil and Punisher and those street level type characters, and bring back Moon Knight and characters like that are on the streets. Your Marvel Knights that we talked about. Do things that are fun with them, gritty stories that are just simple. They're very, very easy to do, and you're not going to lose money. And people are asking for stories like this. Like, this is the TV that people want. You're missing opportunities, Marvel. Quit wasting time.
Do you think Punisher is better suited for TV or film?
TV.
I'd argue, based on how these 2 seasons went, that Punisher is probably best suited for TV. I'd love it for film, but
the crime stories are too
works
complicated.
better.
Yeah, like you're watching part Law and Order and part Captain America. That's the thing, you know, or not Captain America, but a superhero show versus a law show, a crime drama. You have to see the crime happen. You have to see the system fail, and then the reason for the hero to come after, and then have that action scene come down hard. So there's a lot to happen in order to make it cool, in order to give it justice. And putting that in a movie has not worked right yet. Like, it just hasn't yet.
Yeah, the best we got was Thomas Jane's Punisher.
Yeah. And that was a whole other kind of recipe that worked out fairly well. That was a revenge story.
Yep. Keep it simple. That's all you really can do. And vampire killers just kill vampires. Just saying.
Yeah. Call us, Marvel. We're available.
Well, and that's also a TV show we're going to be discussing later this year. So everybody stay tuned for that little bad boy, starring Sticky Fingers.
Stinky Fingers? What?
Sticky.
Oh, Sticky Fingers.
So, yeah. The Blade live action TV show, everybody. That's the next one. But if everybody does want us to kind of go back and take a look at the first 3 seasons of Daredevil, hey, we'd highly consider that. But you might want to get us to about at least 100 likes on this video before we do that. So hit that like button, everybody. Kevin, anything else, or are you ready to say goodbye to everybody and save punishment for the next time?
I'm ready to go plug in my PS2 and go play the Punisher video game. Like, we've watched a whole lot of violence.
Get that. Yeah.
And I'm ready to go establish and like lay some waste to people.
All right. And I'm probably gonna download this and edit it and get it ready for release. So thank you everybody for tuning in. You have now been punished by Punisher Month with Kevin and Jeff. I know we've kind of strolled right on into August with season 2, but hey, this worked out best for all of us. We had a great time. Hit the like button down below. Hit a comment down below too if you got any thoughts about season 2. You like it? Didn't like it? What do you got for us? We want to hear it. Where do you rank Punisher amongst Netflix adaptations of Marvel properties? Also, hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification, and we will see you on the next video. Let's get punished. Whoosh.